Good afternoon, everyone. I am Jean Saludades, current Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration of the UP Open University and the Program Chair of the Asian Studies Graduate Program. Starting today, the University of the Philippines Open University is holding a webinar series entitled Quick Guide on How to Convert Your Courses Online, initiated by the Chancellor of UPOU, Dr. Melinda Bandalaria, for the for the UP community, as well as the entire academic community of the country, as assistance at this time when there is a need for community quarantines. UPOU has 19 years of experience of online education. How to convert your classes online is the first in the webinar series. We have two speakers, Dr. Ria May Borromeo, the Director of Information and Communication Technology Development Office. She shall speak on the topic Quick Guide to Google Classroom, and Dr. Primo Garcia, the Dean of the Faculty of Management and Development Studies. He shall speak on the topic Converting Your Teaching Materials to Online Instruction. After their lectures, we shall open the floor for questions coming from about 1,500 registered participants. May we just remind our participants to mute your microphones for a smooth flow of the presentations. May I now call on Dr. Ria May Borromeo for the first lecture in this series.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ria May Borromeo, and I will be talking about a quick guide to Google Classroom. Here in UPOU, we have been holding our classes completely online. We are using the platform Moodle, but for this tutorial, I will introduce you, if you have not yet tried, Google Classroom. So, let's start. Google Classroom is a learning management system by Google, and it's accessible, it's available to anyone who has a Google account. Before, it used to be available only to those who are subscribed to Google Education, but now, even if you just have a normal Gmail account, you can set up your own classroom. You can try it out right now. Just go to the URL classroom.google.com, and you can also download it in your phones and tablets. So I will talk about the following. A quick guide on how to get started with Google Classroom, creating assignments and materials, creating quizzes using Google Forms, and grading and leaving feedback. So I will do a live demonstration using Google Classroom, and we'll see if you have questions. If there are questions, please save them for later. First, I would like to show you a class in Google Classroom. This is an existing class already where I am the teacher. It's called MMS 141, and it's not really a real class. I mean, it's not a real classroom, but it's a real class. So here, I only have 2 students. Oh, okay, sorry. Share. This one.
Kita na.
Okay. So can you see? Okay.
Yan, kita nyo. Yan yun.
Okay. Okay, so, oh.
No signal. Opo. Kita niyo na?
Okay. Okay. So this is a sample class. And this is what the Google Classroom is like. There is a stream, just like in Facebook, wherein activities and posts are written. So, for example, there is a message and anyone can just comment. So it's very simple replying to posts like that, and you can view the activities there. Now I would like to set up a new Google Classroom so we can try how to create a new one. So it's very simple. In your Google Classroom homepage, you just click this button and create a class. So there is this notice and mostly a privacy and security notice. Now I'm going to create a class for my IS second semester and so it's now creating the class, and it's as simple as that. You now have a classroom. You can customize it by selecting themes. Since this is a technical class, I'll choose this theme. And you can already start posting for your class to view. Welcome to IS. Something like that. So now, when students come in, they will see this post and they can interact among each other here by commenting on the post. Now, let us set up the classroom further. This settings is very important because you can customize your classroom to do what you want. For example, in the stream, you can customize whether you want the students can only comment or teachers can only comment. So there are settings here that you can play around with, and you can modify them so that it can do what you want. And this is a new feature that I just discovered recently, the grade calculation. You can actually it's now very easy to calculate the grades. 2 years ago when I tried this feature was not there yet, so I had to do Excel. I still had to import the grades to Google Sheets and calculate it there. But here, now you can add grade category. For example, I want like quizzes to be 100 points and so this is like my grading scheme for the class. So if quizzes are like 50% and assignments are also 50%, then later on, the activities will be calculated. The final grade will be calculated according to these categories. And we can show the overall grade to students. And then you can save it. Next, let's start adding activities. To add activities, we go to classwork. And then we create the activities by just clicking create. You can see it's very simple. The first thing I normally do is create topics because topics organize your class. So For this class, I will create several topics. For example, initial proposal and another implementation. So the topics are, you can see the topics on the left, and these are the major topics in my course. Then I would start to add the activities I want for each topic. I can add first a question. What and then I can select the category. So this is an assignment, so that later on in the grading, it can calculate automatically. It's for all students. The due date, you can set the due date on Monday, and you can set the time at 11:59 p.m. or whatever time you want. Okay. The topic will be under initial proposal. So it will be organized. And no, I don't want students to reply to each other. So with that, I can just ask this question. And it will be here. And it will also be seen in my stream, in the stream of the classroom. What type of project are you interested in doing? So the students will see that later on when I add them. But let's do that later. Next, I will create an assignment. Again, it's for all students. I am giving it 100 points, and it's another assignment. The due date should be Wednesday. Okay. The topic will be for the implementation. So I'm just asking them to upload the source code of their project here. I can also choose to add links for more information about these assignments, and also files in Google Drive if you want to attach, or other files in your desktop you can upload, and video links. And you can also add a document or any Google document here. For example, I will add this Google Doc because I want my students to put in their answers here. So make a copy for each student. Each student will then have a copy of this, and they can answer here, and I will be able to check it later. I guess it's not appropriate because you don't really put your source code in the Google Docs, so I will delete this for now. But I'm just saying that that's an option. Okay. And then here's a more exciting thing, or more complicated. It's creating a quiz. So in Google Classroom, the quiz is implemented through Google Forms. So let's write quiz number 1. And you have to edit the Google Forms. We are used to using Google Forms probably in surveys, but not really as quizzes. But we can actually do that. So, sorry if that was fast, but when you create the assignment, there will be the quiz, there will be a link to a Google form, and then you just click it, and then it will lead you to the Google form that you have to customize. Again, you have to check the settings here and select the options that you prefer, but I would like to set options here. So you can see here, there's the option to immediately release the grade after each submission, or you can just set later after manual review. And if you want the respondents to see missed questions, correct answers and point values, you can also see that. You can also choose that. And then we save that. Then, now we can start here. Sorry. Here, you are requiring the students to input their email addresses. So maybe you want to do this to identify your students. So I will keep that there. Now for the questions, there are many types of questions that you can use. Short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox, drop down, and even file upload, and all these. So for the multiple choice questions that we have in our exam, we are covered already. The essay, the identification, and the choose many, multiple choice for the checkboxes. Let's start with the multiple choice. What question? Any questions? Okay, what is the first programming language? What's the first programming language? I don't know the answer, so maybe I'm not so sure. Let's change the question. 1 plus 1. Okay, so the options are 0, 1 plus 1, 1, or 2. Okay, so what's the answer? And we can add the answer key here, and I will set it at 2. This is very confusing if you're like studying computer science, but suppose this is math, like math algebra, then 1 plus 1 should be 2. Okay, so we set the points, 1, and then that's there. We have that first question in our quiz. You can make it required. And then we add another question. So how about a short answer? Short answer. When is the date? Okay. When was the Philippines discovered? Okay, so actually you can set that as a date. Okay, so date pala to. And then the answer key, we can add the answer feedback. Oh, when I see. For this type of question, you have to manually check it. Unlike the multiple choice wherein you can set the answer key, here you can just add the feedback, but you still have to manually check the answer of the student. So the answer is, I will just add this as a feedback. Is this correct? Okay. Okay, at least I still remember. Okay. So let's give that 2 points because it's harder. Maybe. Anyway, that's just the idea of making quizzes. And you can also make this a required question or maybe not, because students have the option to skip questions, right? Let's try another one, an essay exam paragraph. And then just ask, what can you say about Google? Again, this has to be manually checked. So just add some manual feedback and then 5 points. And then that's it. You have a quiz. Let's change this. Sample quiz. Later on, we'll try this out as students. We'll see this from the student's perspective. I'm just setting it up from the perspective of the teacher. But then later, we'll try it out. And when you preview it, so it will be like this. Okay. So let's go back to our Google Classroom. And we want, now the blank quiz, this thing that we made, it's still blank quiz. It's like making an assignment and having the link to the Google form as an attachment to the assignment. So it's going to be like this. Let's also set a due date and then assign it. And let's add a category, quiz, and assign. Okay. So now, let's just add one more assignment for the final proposal. Assignment. Oops. And what's good about Google Classroom is that it saves your drafts. So when you're working on something and then you got interrupted, it will automatically save drafts. And so I was not able to save it, but I can come back to it and continue working on it. Now it's again an assignment, 100 points for all students. Just set the dates, and the topic will be final. And I will add a Google Docs file for every student. But why is it not working? Sign. Okay. Okay. Now, let's edit it. Because... Okay, now it's working. So sometimes it doesn't work, just try again. Because, yeah, sometimes it's just because of some network interruptions. So you can always just try again. So I want students to edit this. Okay. Now, in the stream, everything that we created, all the activities that we posted are there. Have I forgotten? Oh, also, you can add materials here, and these could be slides, YouTube attachments, YouTube videos for your tutorials, ebooks. So you can also post them in your Google Classroom and share it with your students. Now that the classroom is set up, this is after setting up the classroom, then we can invite the students. Usually you set it up first before inviting people so that they don't see what you're working on yet. Now I can invite students, or just I can email them by typing the email addresses, or I can just ask them to go to Google Classroom and enter this class code. Now, here's a very important thing to note. If you are using up.edu.ph, you can only invite students who have the same email address, I mean domain. So up.edu.ph classrooms should have students that have up.edu.ph email addresses. And it's the same for all Google Education apps, domains. But if you have Gmail, then that's more flexible because you can invite anyone who's from Gmail. So if anyone who's watching here has their Gmail account, you can just go to Google Classroom and join the class with this code. You can try to join this class if you're interested in joining it. So it's YNO30TP. Go to classroom.google.com and then join the class if you want to join this class. Let's see if people will join this class. Okay, no one's joining my class. I will just join my class. Oh, someone joined. Thank you. Now you can please try out the activities and post there somehow. I will join. Oops. This is an account, a student account. Now I'm a student, I will join a class by doing this. So I just click this button and then join a class. And I enter the code. And now I am part of the class IS295A. I see that these are the deadlines for me, the due dates, and all the assignments in here. Hello. I can reply to yes to myself. This is a test account. And my fake name is Myla. And I will try to answer. Oh, nice. So Joanne, thank you for answering this. To answer an assignment in Google Classroom, what you have to do is actually, comments are okay, but the way to submit assignments is typing your answer here. And let's say I want to do research as well. And then you click turn it in. Because if you don't turn it in, the teacher will not see that you have submitted the assignment. It's different from just a class comment. The class comment is available for everyone in the class to see. But your assignment is the one that you turned in will be for your teacher. And also you can post private comments. What kind? Yeah. There. So that's a private comment. And I can also do this. Add or create. So here's another assignment. I can add or create my work here, but I am not yet going to do this. Maybe let's just answer the quiz. And I will answer the quiz as a student. So, this is the quiz that we created earlier. The answer is 2 March 16. And it's very easy to use. Okay. So after submitting that, you see that you have already submitted in the quiz as a student. And then lastly, sorry. I want to, oh no. Oh wow, there are so many students now. I was so surprised. Okay, 33 students. Wait, I want to be a student again, and then I will answer one of this. Oh, you love Google Classroom, that's great. Please use it. I hope it can be helpful. Anyway, I will do an assignment, my final paper, and edit the Google document that the teacher gave me. So this is my assignment. Rhea. Okay. And then I mark as done. So you also have to note that you have to mark as done your assignments or submit. Okay. Okay. And then next, let's go back. So you see that there are already interactions in our Google Classroom. Hello. hello to everyone who are now students here. Feel free to try them out. If you would notice earlier, there were in this part, in the upcoming, there were many things listed. But because I have already submitted them, the ones that I had to do, only one is there. So this is the only one that I haven't finished yet. So it's like reminding me that I have to do this. But the rest, once you submit this will also be gone. So let's try that. Upload your source code. I just mark it as done, but I won't upload anything. And then I go back. So, no work due soon, because I did everything. Okay, so as a student, that's generally what we can see. Now let's go back to being a teacher. There. So I want to see the work that my students have done so I can check them. Here, one student turned in the final proposal. And I will just click it to see what was submitted. But there's nothing really submitted here, so I can just say, where is your So this is how we communicate with the students. So because they can just click turn it in, but there's nothing really. So you can just talk to them here, and it's a good way of communicating. It's a private comment anyway. And now we can see the projects they're interested in. Oh, nice. There are 6 people who turned in their assignments. We can action research, AI applications, research, and qualitative. So this is how the teacher would see the submissions of the students, and you can give them a grade. I will give 100, 100, 105. Because Myla is fake. And then I will return it to the students. So you will see on your side that I have already given you grades. And you can also add comments like, great job. There. So those are the basic features of Google Classroom. I think the things that we do in our classes can be imported here. And as for us, from using Moodle to Google Classroom, I tried to just compare which one is better. Google Classroom is much more easier to use, I think, and it has the app. And the app is nicer. It's like a social networking application. However, Moodle is very sophisticated in terms of features. Like it has more advanced features for distance education, like workshops, collaboration. So for more advanced features, I would still recommend Moodle. But for general classroom management, I think Google Classroom is a good option, especially right now. Since most of us have Gmail or Google accounts, and we can use it freely. So I think that's it for Google Classroom. And another thing, before I forget, that's good about Google, so let's thank Google, is that it has this Google Hangouts Meet. So for everyone who has a Google Education account, you can set up video meetings or like Hangouts with many people involved there. So if you want to hold your classes synchronously, you can try this out. Maybe we'll have a demonstration of this. Okay. maybe we'll have a demonstration of the Hangouts meet next week, but you can look into it right now. So again, before I end my talk, I will just show you the class code so you can explore. This is it. There. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it was helpful. If you have questions, feel free. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, I'll be talking about converting your teaching materials to online instruction. So as we all know, the first point of study, whether you're doing online or face-to-face classes, the first point of study for your learners is the content. In face-to-face setting, the content is delivered primarily through lectures, right? So we're familiar with it. Just like what I'm doing right now, I'm doing a lecture. But in online setting, there could be some variation in terms of the way the content is delivered. So I'll be giving you the range of options or a menu of the strategies that we can use to deliver our content online. So this presentation aims to discuss the different strategies and tools that can be used to migrate content or lessons from face-to-face to online delivery, and discuss how online discussion forums can be applied to deepen learners' understanding of the lesson or content. So here's the outline of my presentation. I'll be discussing first the strategies for migrating content to online mode, which includes live streamed lectures, pre-recorded lectures, online resources, specifically open educational resources, and the combination of those methods. Then I will be discussing discussion forums as a way to facilitate learner content interaction and also to engage the students. And I'll be providing you some useful links that you can use in relation to our topic today, and I'll give you a summary. After this presentation, I'll give you a sample of how the resources, of how the materials were uploaded in a Google Classroom. So the first approach that you can use is to do lectures live via video conferencing. So this is similar to a classroom, albeit in an online environment. The teacher can still deliver the same lecture, but this time it is done in front of a camera, just like what I'm doing right now. The setting is the same. I'm speaking before an audience live, but the audience are out there. They are watching me, the students or learners are watching me in front of their computer screens. Okay? Now, there are different technologies that you can use to live stream your lectures. You can have video conferencing applications like Google Hangout and Zoom, streaming apps like Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and also social media. You can also use Facebook to deliver your live lecture. Here are some reminders on doing live stream lectures. First, you need to instruct your students on scheduling of live stream lectures. While the students are already aware of your schedule, even if you still follow the traditional schedule of your class, kung MWF yung class mo, it's 8:30 to 10 or 10 to 11:30, you can still follow that old schedule in terms of doing your live lectures. But you need to inform them, reiterate this information to your students because they're still adjusting to this new mode of teaching and learning. So you have to assist them. As a contingency plan, you may also record your live stream lecture in case there's a technological breakdown, especially from the student's end. Most video conferencing apps like Zoom and Google Hangout have this record feature. You can also do the same for other streaming apps like FB Live and YouTube Live. And tutorials on how to make use of these are available all over the internet. Now, you don't need to distribute these recorded lectures unless it is needed. You can save them up for later use in case there's a problem on the side of the students. And lastly, provide opportunities during the live lecture for Q&A. But just the same, please inform your students about this so that they can prepare their questions and any clarification or any other topics that they would like to raise in relation to your lecture. So this is an example of a set of instructions that you can give to your students. As you can see on the screen, the teacher here gave instruction on the schedule and scope of the virtual lectures, the role of the student before going to the virtual class, and how to access the virtual class. Now, in the absence of a virtual classroom like Google Classroom or Moodle, the teacher may use email or FB Messenger to send these instructions. Now, another way to deliver your content is through pre-recorded lectures. Now, you can start with your existing PowerPoint slides. I'm sure most of us have these slides that we use when we deliver our lectures in class. But it would be great, though, if you could add voice over narration in them, and narrated slides are easier to make and does not require large bandwidth for transmission. Now, you can find tutorials on how to put audio narration onto your PowerPoint slides on the internet. Now, you may also use Screencast. A screencast is a digital video recording with your own voice over narration and which also captures actions taking place on your screen. This is very useful for demonstrating operating systems and website features. Now, you can also find instructions on how to do screencast in the internet. Or otherwise, you can simply video record yourself doing a lecture. You can also do board work, solving problems using formulas by recording yourself and putting your camera just in front of you. As you know, the cameras that we have, mobile cameras that we have right now are quite advanced in feature, and you can make quality videos using your mobile phones. Now, you can upload these recorded videos in a virtual classroom, just like Google Classroom, or in UP, we have the UVLE, which is a University Virtual Learning Environment. And it is also powered by Moodle, and sometimes I think a lot of teachers, especially in basic education, use Edmodo. You can also share them through file sharing apps like Google Drive or video sharing apps like YouTube and Vimeo, and also through social media like Facebook or email, or also by email. Just some pointers or tips on doing pre-recorded lectures or slides. I think we should not create overly long video presentations. You may cut up or divide your presentation into smaller parts like 5 to 10 minutes. So it's easier for students with slow internet connection to view them, and it's also more engaging on the part of the learners. Provide students with a list of video lecture or slide titles so that they can track the flow of the course and keep track of the materials. This is especially true if you're sharing your lectures just by email or social media and not virtual classroom. Once you have uploaded your recorded video lectures in your virtual classroom or shared them through the other apps, you need to give them instructions on what they have to do with them. For example, if it's a narrated slide, make sure you'll tell them that it's been provided with voiceover so that they would know what to expect. Now, another way to deliver your content online or through technology-enhanced learning is through the use of online learning resources. Now, these learning resources can either be the print resources that you are using right now, just converted to their digital versions, or any other resource available on the web. For example, if you require a textbook in your class, that can be your student's primary source of lessons. Now, you can also use the handouts that you've been using in class, but just scan them and share them with your students. You can also utilize open educational resources or OERs that are available in the internet. OERs are freely accessible, openly licensed text, media, and other digital assets that can be used for teaching and learning. They can be in the form of websites, articles, papers, books, slides, podcasts, video, and other digital resources. Now, I just have to add that these online learning resources can either be used primarily as means to deliver content or in combination with live-streamed lectures. Now, the best way to share these resources to your students is through a virtual classroom, just like what we've seen a while ago, because you are able to organize them according to units or topics, so students can easily track all the resources. Otherwise, you can share the links to the resources or the files of the resources in a site that your students can all go to. This site can either be a website like Google site or a blogging site like WordPress. Otherwise, you can also send them through email, social media, or a file sharing app like Google Drive. In these cases, you need to also send them a list of learning resources per unit or topic so students can follow the flow of the course. On the screen, you can see a sample list of online resources. So you have there the topic, Unit 1, Introduction to Management, and there are two types of categories of resources that were used. First, you have the files that you prepared yourself. It's a narrated slide on Introduction to Management, and that can be shared via email. And also, you have there the links of open educational resources or simply web resources that your students need to read so that they could learn the lessons required. No? So, this list would guide the students in terms of the flow of the course as well as tracking the learning resources that they need to read or view. Here are some tips or reminders on using online resources. First, you have to choose the learning materials based on the target learning outcome. Do not include materials that do not contribute much to the learning aim. If a material is not necessary but only nice for your students to know, you may include it as part of the resources for optional use by the students. Select format of the digital resource according to learning task. For instance, a video is best suited for demonstrating a process or procedure or illustrating a physical reality, while text is more appropriate in explaining complex ideas. Use learning resources that are credible, accessible, and up-to-date. For a discussion on how to choose appropriate open educational resources, you can watch the video titled Digital Learning Resources and Open Educational Resources available at UPOU Networks. The URL is upounetworks.edu.ph, right? Okay, so that's basically our web-based repository of online learning resources. Now, you can find the link to the video at the end of this presentation. Now, some would ask, should I be concerned with copyright, with intellectual property rights? If you are concerned, you may read on fair use policy. I will also provide links on fair use policy at the end of this presentation. Now, those are different strategies, but actually they can be combined. One option is to require all your students to attend the live stream lectures and discussions and just use the online learning resources as additional reference materials for students to read in between the virtual classes. Or you can also deliver your content primarily using online resources and use video conferencing as a venue for class discussion, clarifying concepts, or discussing specific issues or applications related to the lessons. Now, regardless of the modes though, students must be instructed beforehand on how they should participate in all these activities. These would lessen their anxieties and also minimize questions from them. So we don't want to be bombarded with questions through email. So we might as well give them a clear set of guidelines. Now, we have already done our live lectures. We have already shared the online resources, which includes articles, papers, handouts, or videos. Now, how do we ensure that the students really grasp the ideas that we would like to impart through these resources? One way to do this is through the online discussion forums. Now, online discussion forums is a venue for students to discuss topics related to the course. It can be done in a virtual classroom or a social media group, no? Just like Facebook group. Now, online discussion forums are used to extract factual knowledge and information, query students' comprehension, enable learners to apply what they have learned, get learners to analyze information, challenge the students to synthesize the information, and have learners evaluate content and make judgment. So sometimes online discussion forum is compared to the face-to-face class recitation or class discussion. No? In a lot of ways, it's similar, but it's also different in the sense that you have to prepare the questions in advance, and students usually respond asynchronously through text. Now, online discussions can be formulated in different formats. For example, you can have analytical questions. On the screen, you can see the example. It says, given that what you have learned about the features of an information society, can you say that information society or societies exist in the Philippines? Explain your answer by providing examples. Feel free to comment on your classmates' posts. So the question assumes that the students has already read the material or viewed the lecture on information society. Now, the students is now being asked to analyze whether such concept applies in the Philippines. In their answers, you can see whether they understood the concept or not. It could also be a debate. Is management an art or science? Explain your answer. From here, you can also see whether the students know the philosophy of management and how they view management as a practice and as a field of study. Or it could be a case discussion. For example, read the case, the prime movers in your reader. What can you say about the way Dr. Santos implemented the proposed organizational changes? What would you have done the same thing? Why or why not? So basically, the students is required to apply the concept that he has learned in a specific situation or context. In this case, an organization. Or it could be a Q&A or question and answer. So the students are asked to post their questions about the lesson, and then you reply as a teacher. Now, this is very useful for courses that requires a lot of drills, exercises, and quizzes. So if they have problems with some of the aspects of the drills, you can discuss them in a Q&A discussion forum. Now, it's not enough that you post your question and the students reply. No? Just like in a class discussion, the teacher is there to facilitate the discussion. So you also have to be there in the online setting to facilitate it. And you can do that by asking questions that promote reflection, interpretation, analysis, or problem solving, solicit relevant personal opinion and or personal experience, encourage students to engage with other students in class, require connections to be drawn between lessons and personal experience, and past and present course material can be used. So based on my experience, students are really encouraged to participate in online discussions if they can relate to the question being asked, if it's applicable to their own context, to the problems they are undergoing, to the issues facing the environment or community they are a part of. And once they have posted their answers, your students will then post their replies. To encourage dialogue among students, you can enrich the discussion by asking probing questions like the ones on the screen. No? Like if somebody has already posted and it's a bit unclear, you can ask them, what do you mean by such and such? You can ask about the initial issue. How can we find out about such and such, or probe assumptions? No? So these are things that you can ask along the way. Now, at the end of the discussion forum, the teacher normally provides feedback to the learners by posting a summary of the main issues raised, points of convergences and divergences in learners' perspectives, and your perspective as a teacher on the discussion topic, which becomes your feedback to the learners. Sometimes, we are not able to really pose a lot of probing questions during the duration of discussion forum, but students really expect you to come up with a sum up because they want to hear your take on the question that you actually posted. In fact, you can find more information about designing discussion forums in the video Designing Discussion Forum, also at the UPOU networks. So here is an example of a sum up or discussion note that I posted. You have there the question, based on what you have read from your module and online reference material, what metaphor would you use to represent an organization you're familiar with? Explain. No? So the students have already posted their answers and they have reacted to each other's comments. So in this discussion forum, the teacher posted his sum up or discussion by first thanking those who participated in the discussion, and second, highlighting the main points raised by the students in the discussion, and lastly, stating his take on the discussion question. So you have here some useful links that you can go to for a deeper discussion of the topics that we have just covered. Now, to summarize, we have learned that migrating your content or lessons to online instruction can be done through live stream lectures, pre-recorded lectures, or voice-over narrated slides, or the use of digital resources available in the web. Lectures can be live streamed through video conferencing applications like Zoom or Google Hangout, or streaming applications like Facebook Live or Google Live. Online resources can be uploaded in virtual classroom, and if not available, file sharing applications like Google Drive and social media like Facebook group. Now, these tools and strategies can be combined depending on the learning aim. And discussion forums can be used to deepen the learner's understanding of the content. Now, in all of these activities, the teachers need to provide clear instructions to learners on how to approach the learning resources or participate in any activity. Now, to illustrate this, I would just like to show you a sample Google Classroom site that I presented, that I actually created just for this webinar series. Okay. So just like Dr. Ria said a while ago, this is also my first time to use Google Classroom. because in UPOU we've been using Moodle. But as she has mentioned a while ago, it's actually easier to learn. So I was able to, without reading any tutorial, I was able to navigate the different features. So you have there the different tabs like Stream, Classwork, People, and Grades, and these were discussed to you a while ago. I just want to show you how it would look like if you migrate your resources into Google Classroom. So first, I have there the different topics of the course. This is a hypothetical course, Introduction to Management or Fundamentals of Management, which I call Management 1. You have some information about the course. Introduction to Management, that's the first unit. And then you have there the succeeding units. Now, let's click on the About the course. So, basically, just like what you do in a face-to-face setting, the first thing you do is to welcome your students to the class. And once you welcome them, you orient them to your course. No? You tell them about what they can expect from the course, what are the course requirements, and how they should participate, and how they will be graded. No? So you have there, for instance, some information about the course requirements or the learning activities, like the virtual classes. So it states there that the teacher will still be holding classes in the original schedule MWF 9 to 10 a.m. in online mode effective 16 March until further notice. This assumes that the lockdown or community quarantine will be lifted sometime later. No? Sabi ng teacher, I will be conducting my lectures through the Zoom app. I will focus on the main topics or concepts in these lectures. Before you attend the virtual lectures, make sure that you have already read the online learning materials uploaded in the virtual classroom. After my lecture, you will be given time to ask questions related to the topics being discussed. Instructions on how you can access Zoom can be found in this virtual classroom. All my online lectures will be recorded. No? So these are some information that you can give. You can also mention about the supplementary materials. In addition to the video lectures, I will be posting additional reading materials and online videos for your reference. I've also prepared slides with voiceover. Course requirements. So those are how the activities will be done. And then you have there the uploaded copy of the course syllabus, which you have been using in your face-to-face classes as well. So you have there the course requirements. As you can see, the course syllabus is the course site is basically an expanded version of your course syllabus. So whatever you have, it's basically just an expanded version of it. You add the resources and you add the learning activities needed for the course to run. And then I've added a new material on how to attend the virtual classroom through Zoom. So there is a video that I just linked. So how to attend a Zoom meeting.
In this video, we'll go over how to join a Zoom meeting.
Now the details of this will be discussed, I think, on Monday.
Join link in the meeting invite.
So back to the class. So now the first topic is Introduction to Management. So you have there the list of instructions to the student. Apparently there is a textbook required. So the students are being asked to read the textbook and then read the online materials attached below, participate in the virtual classes, and participate in an online discussion forum. So let's assume that this is a PowerPoint slide that you have already prepared before in your face-to-face class. What I did was just to add audio narration, so the students can download this and play this. And then you have some links to online resources available on the internet. And then after going over this, the students attend the virtual classes, and then there's a discussion forum that they have to participate in. So this is the discussion question. and students need to post their answers. So as you can see, it combines the different strategies that we have discussed a while ago. So I think that ends my presentation on migrating your content for online delivery instruction. Thank you.
Thanks for your lectures, Dr. Ria Borromeo and Dr. Primo Garcia. We shall now proceed to the open forum. Dr. Borromeo shall be the first to answer the questions from the web.
Thank you for all your questions. I'll be answering some of them, and I'll ask help from my other colleagues to answer the more difficult ones. So let's start with the more difficult ones. How do you prevent cheating in quizzes using Google Forms? Any tips? Okay, they will think about that while we're answering the others. Is there a way to make quizzes with time pressure, options per item in Google Forms? Right now, I haven't researched fully on this, but I know that there is a Google extension. It's called Timify. You can see the screen, right? So, Timify. Yeah, so it's a timer for online exams and assessment with Google Forms. You can, yeah, it's not for free, but you can use the free version. It's just for timing. The other features, I think, behavior and time tracking for Google Forms. So maybe if you have this, it can also help avoid cheating because it also has some behavior plugins. So you can check this out. I tried this once and it worked for timing, but not per item, for the entire quiz. So what if you have an existing exam in Word document and you need to recreate it in the Google Classroom? It's you just have to encode it in the Google Forms. And can Google Hangouts accommodate about 25 people during the meeting? Yes, the Google Hangouts Meet can do this. I think meet.google.com. But I'm sorry, I haven't really fully explored that, so I will study that over the weekend and share with you my findings on Google Hangouts Meet. And is it possible to create a duplicate of a Google Classroom for when I have several sections of the same course? Yes, it's possible. You can, in your classes, you can copy it. You can create a copy of the class. So I will make a copy of this MMS 1-for-1. And you can just change the section here. So for example, section B. And so the contents will be the same, but you can invite the different set of students. Next, again, may I ask how we can administer quizzes that won't make the students cheat? That's for my colleagues. Is it possible to have timed questions? Yeah, I think I answered that. And what is the advantage of using Google Classroom as compared to UVLE or UVLE? I think UVLE is based on Moodle, and the main advantage of Google Classroom for me is its usability. Moodle has really many features, more advanced features, but Google Classroom is very user-friendly to non-tech, even to non-techie people. And may I know if UP has a G Suite account? So yes, if you don't have a up.edu.ph account, contact your IT office in your CU, and they can create one for you. How about having diagrams, tables, flowcharts in quizzes? I what I do when I have these kinds of, when I have more complicated questions, I save them as images and then upload it. So Google Forms is not super smart. In Moodle, you can do that. Like, you can have special symbols or have many types of input for quizzes. But in Google Classroom, you can do it by adding images instead. And then if you want like answers with the special symbols in math maybe, you can also require students to just upload the file, the image of the answer. Only those with UP accounts or Gmail accounts can join Google Classes. Yes. Yes. Sorry. To be clear, all Google-based accounts. So upou.edu.ph, because it's also Google-based, then you can join a Google Classroom. Anything else? So now, sorry. How to add, is there a, okay. So how to add names in the teacher field? Let's see. People, I think it's the same. You invite the teachers. So how to add the teachers? So you add their email addresses and then you can invite them. I can add, now this time I can add Myla as a teacher. And but I have to open, then you have to open the email account and then accept this account should accept the invitation as a teacher. Is there a way we can track the number of hours spent by teachers in Google Classroom? I think at the moment, none. How about the Office 365, which we have already? Wouldn't it be good to use it? Maybe, yeah, we can use the Office 365 for other collaboration things. Okay. Any other questions? I think I'd like to give the floor to Dr. Primo Garcia or to my other colleagues who can answer about the cheating, their tips for cheating. Okay, sorry. The code for the class. Wait, slow. Look, it's funny. Late ako nakapasok. Mag-check, sorry. Thanks for your support. Okay, why is there no code? Because I'm a student. Yeah, very good. Oops. The code is this. The class limits, if you're using a personal Gmail account, the number of students that you can have is 250. But if you're using a Google for Education account, like UP accounts, the limit is 1,000 students. So this is the class code. Can you flash the class code? Okay, it's okay. Okay.
Now, regarding the question on cheating, how do we minimize that? Because let's face it, in face-to-face ground ako. Face-to-face classes, there are also instances of cheating. Now, there are three ways that I can think of to address this issue. First, you can, in terms of the design of the exam, design of the assessment, in terms of how we phrase the question so that the answers would not appear too obvious or quote and unquote Googleable. We can also make use of more authentic assessment where students are given the opportunity to demonstrate or apply their understanding of the lesson through a specific situation that applies to their personal lives. Yeah, and there are lectures, video lectures on that in our UPOU networks that you can. And on Monday, I think there's also going to be a topic on that, more detailed discussion about authentic assessment. So, in that way, you can minimize cheating because you can readily spot whether the students just lifted his or her answer or assignment from Google or from another source if you adopt such kind of assessment. Now, another way to minimize it is this requires more logistics. We can do online proctoring. That's what we have done in the past. Students take their exams while on a webcam. They're connected through the university through a social media app or a video conferencing app. But you should, this requires a team of people that would monitor all the students taking the exam at the same time. Now, another option is if you really don't trust the online environment, what you can do is to really require your students to come to class for their high-stakes exams like final examination or comprehensive examinations. So in that way, you minimize the contact hours between the students if you just require them to come to class for their examinations. And in this kind of environment, in this kind of public health emergency that we are experiencing right now, you can still apply the social distancing practice while administering such kinds of examinations. Now, another question that was raised, I think the next two questions are quite related. Some of our classes have performances, i.e. speeches. Would you have any recommendations on how we can facilitate these? And how would you suggest we ask students to do reporting? Would this be mostly through video? Yeah. We have a lot of classes that require presentation. We have used Google Hangout, even Zoom for class presentation, and sometimes, I think in another course that we develop on speech communication for BPOs, yeah, we required our students to submit their presentation through video. They uploaded the video on YouTube and then they sent the link to us. I think they were asked to set the settings of the video to private, so only the teacher can view the video. So, and then the teacher evaluated the performance based on the video. And then you can also ask the students to submit the video directly to you. But if you want others to see it, no, so the students can also learn from each other, you can use the video conferencing app like Google Hangout for that, and also Zoom, and also through blogging. You can require students to come up with their own blog, create their own blog site, page, and then upload all their requirements there, including videos or portfolios or even reflections, and then they just submit the links to the faculty, and the faculty member shares the links to everyone. So, wala sa atin yung responsibility, nasa student yung responsibility of keeping the site, because the student may be sharing personal information that you may not want to share with others, no, in those blogs. So, those are some tips that you can use.
There are questions here that some of them may be answered next webinar, but maybe just to answer these questions quickly, I think an interesting question is how would one qualify cheating from collaboration? Well, it's to their loss if they will cheat when they do collaborative work. So maybe this is something that we have to remind our students. If they want to learn, then they have to really be truthful when they engage in a collaborative work. But this may, as I said, this may be answered in the next webinar. The other question here, can we make use of Moodle as well? Or is it just for UPOU learners and teachers? Moodle is an open source platform, and this is something that can be used by anyone. So, Prof. Garcia, Dr. Garcia also would like to add to the question, to add to the answer on the question on cheating from collaborative work.
I think the issue of cheating nag-ground on collaborative work has something to do with freeloading as well, no? Yung hindi fair, like alam naman natin yan, we've undergone all of these activities when we were still students, and merong estudyante na gumagawa, merong hindi masyadong gumagawa. One way to address this is through peer evaluation. Like I have required some collaborative learning activities where part of the grade of the student would come from the evaluation done by their group mates. So there are a lot of rubrics available on the internet that you can use for peer evaluation, and you can just tweak them to suit your course. So pag may peer evaluation, normally mga estudyante, they really participate, give their best, no? Kasi they know that they're going to be evaluated by their classmates or their teammates. Now, isa pa yung where was I, no? Cheating, no? Kasi we do collaborative learning also to promote team skills, which is a lifelong learning skill, no? 21st century skill yan, di ba? Kung hindi, sabi nga ni Dr. Jean Saludades, kung if they're not going to take it seriously, how are they going to prepare themselves for the future? In actual workplaces, nangyayari din naman yun. So, dapat as early as now, they're already prepared in how to negotiate such kind of work among their peers.
So there's another question. How many students can be accommodated in these video conferencing apps? Wouldn't that affect the quality of the network? So it depends on the video conferencing app and the type of subscription that you have. For example, for our Zoom video conferencing, we can accommodate 100 people. But the question, wouldn't that affect the quality of the network? Zoom has a server, and we are connecting to that server. And then you are connecting to that server too. So even if there are many people in the video conferencing, as long as your connection to the Zoom server is okay, then there's no problem. The Zoom servers are, I think they're equipped enough, and they have very good servers to accommodate these connections. So that's all. Thank you.
Now, any suggestions on how to convert laboratory and field classes online? Now, for laboratory classes, the teacher can do a video on how to do the actual experiments, because as we know, in laboratory work, students are required to develop certain laboratory skills. No? Video can be used to do that. But in terms of demonstrating the skills, in some of our courses, the students were like teachers, no, who are teaching science courses in basic education. They were required to do a demonstration of some of those skills in a laboratory setting in their own schools, and then video record themselves and submit the video to their teachers. And there's also a tutor monitoring. Or if not, you can still do the actual laboratory thing in an actual laboratory in your school, no? So katulad din nung examination, if there are certain policies in your school or university that prevents you from doing everything online, then you can just require the students to come to school for laboratory. But you can schedule their laboratory work so that you can still practice social distancing. Now, what about the use of Edmodo? I'm not really familiar with the features of Edmodo. Maybe any from our registered participants who have already used Edmodo, kung familiar kayo, we can give you an airtime. Anybody from our live audience who is familiar with Edmodo, you can share your experience. Anyway, you can look it up on the internet for more information. Yeah, I will let you answer. What can be a possible solution to laboratory classes, e.g. statistics using stats software, biology, chem lab that need lab apparatus as instruction material? Say a licensed software is only available in the university's lab. Statistics courses use software that are only available in computer lab because licenses are not free. How do we go about this? In UPOU, we have adopted open software policy for our courses, but I understand that there are some universities that require the use of licensed software. Just like in my previous suggestion, you can still do the actual laboratory or part of your course face-to-face. No? In fact, in our teacher education programs, some of our teacher education programs or health programs like nursing, they still do part of their courses face-to-face. All the other courses, all the other assessments will be done online, but certain aspects where demonstration of skills or of certain skills is required is done face-to-face. No? Pero konti na lang siya, hindi na siya kasing haba nung the usual face-to-face term. No? And in this kind of environment, as I've said, you can still schedule so that yung mga estudyante natin would not be coming into the laboratory at the same time. Yeah, the licensed software, oo. May mga universities kasi na may access ang mga estudyante din sa licensed software. Pero I do understand na different kasi ang payment rate eh. Like, it would be more expensive if the students are given access off campus, di ba?
Yes.
So, kung mayaman yung university, that's not a problem. But for some universities, the licensed software is only available in the laboratory. So the students would have to go there. But you have to adopt certain measures also in terms of scheduling. Pagka gantong nag-combine na kayo ng online and face-to-face, the important thing is really to do advanced scheduling of the things that will be done online and things that will be done face-to-face so that yung mga estudyante natin are aware beforehand. Like for instance, I could just imagine if a certain part of the country has undergone community quarantine. No? Some of those students would go back to their homes in the provinces. So, pag i-require silang bumalik doon sa campus, more likely, they would really have to schedule yung kanilang trip to that university. So, the thing is to really schedule those activities in advance so that they could prepare for those sessions. Nakakalimutan ko ang camera ko nandito.
Okay, so there are two questions that I'll try to respond. The first one's any suggestions for very young students in the elementary, I would assume. So it may require, because we are doing this for our higher education, no? So it may require another session for this. We will look into it and other strategies. The other question is, could you recommend an online video editing platform for lecturers? So we ask our technical people here. Their answer is no online platform. All should be installed on CPU. The freeware that is available in the is the DaVinci Resolve, and for the licensed ones are the Adobe Premiere, Vegas, and Windows Movie Maker. Okay. If there are no other questions, for questions that may not be addressed now, they may be addressed in the next forum, or just key in the questions. Instructions shall be given for the continuation of the open forum, including the certificate. So this brings to a close the first in our webinar series. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Thank you, Dr. Garcia and Dr. Borromeo, and to our technical crew. A recording of this webinar can be viewed at the UPOU networks.upou.edu.ph, or at the UPOU website, www.upou.edu.ph. We hope to see you again in the next webinar to happen on Monday, as shown in the poster that there. So you can find that there are going to be 4 lectures come Monday, and so we hope to see you there. Thank you, everyone. Good day.